Every week, we're working hard to give you the latest weather updates, stories from around campus, and the Pittsburgh area. RMU Live, Mondays at 3, bringing you the latest news.
Good afternoon and welcome to RMU Live. Today is Monday, March 27th. I'm Ethan Morrison.
And I'm Nathan Breisinger. Here's what's happening now.
We start this afternoon with some breaking news. 3 adults and 3 children are confirmed dead following a school shooting Monday morning at the Convent School, a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee. Spokesperson for the Metro Nashville Police Department, Dawn Aaron, stated that a 28-year-old female suspect entered a side entrance with 2 assault rifles and a handgun. She was later fatally shot by a 5-member police team. The only person injured in this shooting was a police officer who had a wound from cut glass. The shooting is believed to be the 5th school shooting in the Nashville area since 2011 and the 1st since 2018. We will keep you updated throughout today's newscast as new information is provided on this story.
In other developing news, the nation was hit with some severe weather this weekend, including here in Pittsburgh, with wind gusts exceeding 50 miles per hour on Saturday. That weather has left some lasting impacts as several local schools are closed today as they are still without power.
Now let's send it over to the weather studio with Alex Wolf for the latest. Alex.
All right, thanks guys. So we did have some pretty gusty wind over the weekend, but it's looking like it's going to calm down a little bit. Today's high is 52 with a low of 32, 67% humidity, and an 80% chance of precipitation. Looking into later today, currently at 3 p.m., it's raining with 50 degrees. It's cloudy with 48 degrees at 6 p.m. and at 9 p.m. it's going to be clear with 43 degrees. Looking into tomorrow, we have a high of 48, a low of 27, 62% humidity, and 10% chance of precipitation. Back to you guys at the desk.
The weather was definitely a major factor over the weekend across the nation, including in Mississippi, where President Joe Biden declared a major disaster after a tornado ripped through the area, leaving 26 dead. Rolling Fork, Mississippi was hit the hardest as the EF4 tornado reached wind gusts between 166 and 200 miles per hour. The severe weather left trees toppled, homes in ruins, and power lines lying across roadways. The hard-hit areas will receive federal emergency aid to help in the recovery efforts. Meanwhile, 6 shelters were open in Mississippi to help those who were displaced.
With at least 26 people reportedly killed as of March 26th as part of the severe weather across the parts of Mississippi and Alabama on Friday, Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has declared a state of emergency Sunday morning after severe storms and tornadoes struck the state. The storm made its way into the state on Sunday, producing thunderstorms, high straight-line winds, and multiple tornadoes. Radar indicated 1 tornado touched down Sunday morning in LaGrange, Georgia, which is about an hour south of Atlanta, which produced fallen trees in the area. The National Weather Service stated that there is a slight risk of severe weather for Monday, and a state of emergency is set to expire on Friday.
Locally, thousands still remain without power due to strong wind gusts from Saturday. As of 10:40 this morning, Duquesne Light reported 4,244 customers remain without power. Several schools in the area kept its doors closed today due to the outages, including Ambridge, Beaver, and Freedom area school districts. On Saturday, wind gusts reached over 50 miles per hour, which left trees and power lines down, causing those outages. Robert Morris University was also left without power for about 5 minutes on Saturday as well.
Monday has been a violent day across southern and eastern Ukraine, including an attack on Sloviansk that killed at least 2 people and left dozens more injured.
Ivan Watson brings us the latest from Ukraine's capital.
It has been an active and violent day in the Ukraine war, with a number of strikes and attacks reportedly carried out in Russian-occupied Ukrainian cities in the south of the country. Some kind of strike in the center of the Russian-occupied city of Melitopol, which hit a building there. We're still waiting to get details on potential casualties. And then what Russian state media has described as an assassination attempt in the Russian-occupied city of Mariupol, apparently targeting the car of the city's police chief. The Ukrainians would look at this individual as basically a collaborator for working with the Russian occupation forces. We've seen images of a car damaged there. The Ukrainians are saying that there are resistance forces in these occupied towns, and that they argue there is nothing wrong with them targeting the Russian occupation administration in these cities as they vow to liberate them sometime in the future. In the meantime, there have been very serious Russian missile strikes reported by the Ukrainian authorities against two eastern Ukrainian cities. That is Slavyansk and the town called Drushkivka. The Ukrainians say that Russians used S-300 missiles. These are supposed to be surface-to-air missiles, but they've been repurposed to attack targets on the ground with huge impact. The Ukrainians are saying that the administrative center of Slavyansk was hit. Serious damage to buildings there, at least 2 people killed, dozens reported wounded, and also in Drushkivka as well, damage incurred there. Meanwhile, the flashpoint towns of Avdiivka and Bakhmut are also the scenes of intense fighting, with authorities in Avdiivka telling civilians to evacuate and warning that utilities will be cut off as the Russians continue to press their offensive to try to capture that town. Ivan Watson, CNN, Kyiv.
The conflict between Russia and Ukraine has been going on since 2014, but escalated in February of 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. Since then, Europe has seen its largest refugee crisis since World War II. As safety concerns continue to remain in downtown Pittsburgh, some business owners are on the fence of keeping their office space downtown. The Pittsburgh Business District has taken some hits, according to multiple business owners and workers downtown. Public and private complaints over safety has increased, and financial leaders with offices in the city center say that they are frustrated with the city's efforts to address the public safety issues. There have been efforts to bring people back to downtown, including free parking and even deploying police officers to assist city officers on downtown patrols. Visitor numbers are still lower than pre-pandemic levels, but the numbers have rebounded from around 675,000 per month in early 2021 to an average of 1.42 million visitors per month in 2022.
On Friday, Pittsburgh police accused a woman of stabbing another woman in the city's Fineview neighborhood. 29-year-old Shamaria Wilson was charged with aggravated assault following an altercation that turned violent around 1 p.m. in the 1700 block of Light Street. The stabbing victim and Wilson were reportedly in a verbal altercation outside of an apartment building. The victim was then left with a long cut on the side and back of her neck and a smaller wound on the back of her head, police said. Police recovered a knife on the scene. Wilson sustained minor injuries and then was placed in the Allegheny County Jail following medical clearance.
A fatal shooting Friday night in Homewood left 2 people pronounced dead at the scene. According to Pittsburgh police, a man and a woman were shot on Frankstown Avenue, and police responded around 11:50 p.m. after a shot spotter alert indicated that 15 rounds were fired. The identities of the individuals have not yet been released by the Allegheny County Medical Examiner's Office.
When we come back here on RMU Live, Robert Morris continues to be one of the most military-friendly schools. Hear which prestigious award the university was rewarded in a few moments.
And lights were out at the North Athletic Complex on Friday, but it wasn't from the high winds. See how students took to the court to raise money for a local Pittsburgh organization when RMU Live returns.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made her college years happen. Opening that education savings account when she was little. Spearheading a campus tour. And another, and another, and another, and another. Bam! Deciphering financial aid. She was like, what? And now she's like, you aced planning for college. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
Jason, let's go see your room.
How was it? Is it good? Things could be stranger, but I don't know how. I'm going through changes now. Could spend a lifetime trying to figure it out. I'm going through changes, through all of the strangeness. I'm going through changes now.
Welcome back to Army Live. We have an update on the Nashville school shooting as President Joe Biden has called for Congress to pass an assault weapons ban while speaking at a women's business summit.
Now here on the campus at Robert Morris, for this first time ever, the university received a top 10 ranking as military-friendly school. The university has reached gold status over the past 3 years, but in the most recent rankings, RMU placed 7th amongst doctoral granting universities. Schools are judged on 6 different categories, including retention, graduation, job placement, repayment, persistence, and loan default rates for all students and student veterans. Director of the Army Center for Veterans and Military Families, David Osmond, highlighted how the school has grown to help with several areas of military lives, including tuition and transition assistance, along with helping those dealing with personal issues.
Mental health care, do one-on-one to address maybe needs with PTSD or so forth, as well as just general issues, because a lot of these students are coming back to school for the first time, so just how to de-stress before finals, or how to calm down before an interview. And we do some other wellness training, some yoga classes and so forth, even to address just general wellness and proper mental health and so forth, because that's all part of it. It's truly making that home away from home friendly environment. It's more than just processing the paperwork. It's really building relationships with the students and leaning in.
Students took over the North Athletic Complex on Friday for Robert Morris University's Sports Management Association's annual Dodge the Dark event to raise money for the Mario Lemieux Foundation. 10 teams consisting of 6 players took to the floor to dodge their way to victory. The event has been a student favorite and was brought back last year after it did not happen in 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. SMA says that they do not know the grand total money raised yet, but expect it to be around $11,000, a mark the organization hit last year.
Students also swarmed over to the Massey Theater to channel their inner elementary school self as the Phi Mu Delta Adult Spelling Bee took place last Thursday, as they helped raise money for St. Jude. 8 contestants were fed a variety of words as they navigated their way through each word while wearing their own unique costumes. During an intermission, students had the opportunity to enter into a 50-50, an auction, along with snacks and a cash bar for anyone over 21. At the end of it all, Philip Uhas was the champion, with his final word being Caribbean.
For the second straight semester, the Office of President's Life hosted a rock, paper, scissors competition. The event started off with 9th President of Robert Morris University, Michelle Patrick, and groundskeeper John Tucci singing the national anthem. Jay Call took first place and went home with a Burger King crown, a tiny gold medal, and a full Whopper meal. The winner of last semester's tournament, Tristan Yoder, challenged Hall to decide who was the ultimate champion, with Hall eventually taking the crown. Residence Life hopes to host the event next year.
As always, Robert Morris is always bustling with different activities. Today, the class of 2023 is hosting the Senior Salute. The event allows graduating students the opportunity to get all their questions answered regarding the upcoming commencement ceremony. Women's History Month continues as the Office of Residence Life is hosting Women's History Karaoke Night this evening, starting at 6 p.m. The event will take place in Hopwood Hall, and food will also be provided. Additionally, the Office of Residence Life will take to the PNC CAF on Tuesday evening for Stress Relief Painting Night. Students will be able to create their own masterpieces on a canvas starting at 5 p.m.
And you'll have to head back over to the PNC CAF on Wednesday if you want to enjoy cuisine and cultural entertainment from around the world. The Center for Global Engagement is hosting its Global Carnival on Wednesday, March 29th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. Students can obtain set credit for attending this event. And also on Thursday from 1 to 4 p.m., is a pop-up shop. This opportunity is for students, entrepreneurs, regardless of their major, to participate in a market and sell their goods or services to their fellow students. The market will take place at the RMU gazebo, weather permitting, and if there is inclement weather, the pop-up shop will be set up on the 3rd floor of the Nicholson Rotunda.
Along with today's RMU Live, RMU-TV offers a complete lineup of shows for the remainder of the week, starting with Sports Talk in the Berg this Wednesday starting at 5:15, and then on Thursday, bi-weekly, the Bobby Moe Game Show, and Backstage, with this week being the game show featuring a March Madness themed show. Wrapping up Thursday night, Colonial Sports Center starts at 9:30 p.m., and then Friday, everything wraps up with RMU Focus at noon.
And if you want to stay up to date on the news in arts and entertainment at Robert Morris and around the Pittsburgh surrounding area, then be sure to check out RMU Century Media. The writers will have you covered over there with the latest in news and arts and entertainment around campus and the Pittsburgh area. Be sure to check out their website, rmucenturymedia.com, and head over to social media to get the latest content by searching keyword RMU Century Media.
And Ethan, speaking of some entertainment, RMU Athletics was in full swing this past weekend with both men's and women's lacrosse home.
Yes, Nate. And let's send it over to Kevin Plowship for the latest in Colonial sports. Kevin.
Thanks, guys. Well, we'll kick off things with the RMU softball team, who traveled to Akron, Ohio for a doubleheader against the Akron Zips. In Game 1, the Colonials scored just 1 run, but took a strong pitching performance from Jane Garver into the 7th inning, before Akron scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th to steal the win, a walk-off win for Akron over RMU 2-1. In game number 2, the Colonials took an early 3-0 lead, but a huge 9-run third-inning explosion from Akron blew the game wide open, and Akron would go on to win 13-4 in a shortened 5-inning game. Looking to rebound from those losses, the Colonials had a 3-game road series Friday and Saturday against Green Bay in Wisconsin. Game 1 saw Dana Vatekis pitch a complete game shutout, and the Colonials bounced back to win 6-0 over the Phoenix in Game 1. In Game 2, Green Bay scored first and early, leading by 4 runs on 2 occasions. And despite RMU scoring 3 runs in the top of the 5th inning, the Colonials could not complete the comeback, falling 5-4. The rubber match was set for Saturday, but was canceled due to weather. The men's lacrosse team broke their 3-game losing streak on Saturday, defeating conference foe Cleveland State 11-6. It was a team effort, as 4 Colonials scored 2 goals in the win. Colton Lidstone led the team in points with 2 goals and 2 assists. The women's lacrosse team was also in action on Saturday against UC Davis, but fell to the Aggies 17-10 at Joe Walton Stadium. Gia Anthony scored 3 goals for RMU. And finally, the RMU track and field team opened their 2023 outdoor season with a 5th place finish at the CMU Invitational. Now, if you want to keep track of all things Colonial sports, visit colonialsportsnetwork.com. The student writers there have you covered with game previews, recaps, feature stories, podcasts, and more. You can also follow them on Twitter at RMU_CSN and on Instagram at Colonial Sports Network. That's all for now. Back to Ethan and Nate at the desk.
Thanks, Kevin, for that look at RMU sports. When we come back, there is rising concerns over a real-life version of The Last of Us in today's Health Minute.
And air pollution is a major concern across the nation. Hear more about that when we come back here on RMU Live.
Over. Chance high five. All right. When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover all the things that make them unique. And your mother and... I am totally a hot person. Right, guys? Thanks for being honest. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? My. Oh.
precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to send those old STEM theories flying past the neighbor's house into outer space. Dare to program something internet-breaking, record-breaking. Dare to blow their minds. Dare to learn the difference between sedimentary and metamorphic rock. Go find those rocks. Dare to keep daring. Dare to STEM. Check out She Can STEM to get started.
Welcome back to Army Live. So we have some more breaking news from the shooting in Nashville. Police now believe that the shooter was a former student of the school. The police chief, John Drake, did not release the shooter's name as the investigation is still ongoing. Also, Attorney General Merrick Garland has been briefed on the ongoing situation and that the special agents from the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives responded to the scene and are helping with the investigation. It is considered an urgent threat by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, an emerging fungus that's resistant to many drugs.
New data shows the number of cases skyrocketing in the U.S. in recent years. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more on what you need to know about the fungal threat.
It's called Candida auris, a fungus that can easily spread through healthcare facilities and potentially cause deadly disease.
We've only seen it here in the United States since 2016.
Since that time, cases have skyrocketed. New CDC data shows there were 53 cases in 2016. That number jumped to nearly 1,500 in 2021. Initially, it was confined mostly to the New York City and Chicago areas. Now it's present in more than half of U.S. states.
The problem that we're finding with Candida auris is that it is becoming resistant to the 3 classes of antifungals that we're currently able to treat patients.
The CDC says healthy people don't usually get sick from Candida auris. It's more likely to affect those who have serious medical problems, require long stays in healthcare facilities, people with weakened immune systems, and those getting medical devices into their bodies, like a breathing tube or catheter. Dr. Kristen England with Cleveland Clinic says healthcare facilities should isolate patients with this fungal infection.
The general population doesn't need to worry about getting sick from Candida auris, but we all do need to be on high alert as far as making sure that we don't pass this on to other people if we know someone who has Candida auris.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Candida auris is also resistant to common disinfectants and can be carried on skin without causing symptoms, allowing it to spread more easily. But the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency lists on its website products registered for use that it says can kill this fungus.
A new study suggests marginalized communities may suffer the consequences of air pollution more than others. Researchers looked at the death rates for older communities with higher poverty rates and larger populations of people of color. The New England Journal of Medicine study zeroes in on a kind of small particle air pollution called PM2.5. The particles are so tiny they can travel past the body's usual defenses and stick in the lungs or enter the bloodstream. Researchers found everyone would benefit from cleaner air, but higher and lower income black people and lower income white people may benefit more from lower PM2.5 levels in the air. In 2019 alone, long-term exposure to particle pollution contributed to the deaths of 4 million people. The EPA is trying to develop new air pollution safety standards. Now, coming up after the break, Kevin Plaucha is back in the sports studio with a wild weekend of Pittsburgh and national sports, including a big Penguins-Capitals game that was full of playoff implications and the latest on the ride towards the finish line of March Madness.
And also, when we come back, Alex Wolf is back in the weather studio to give us a look on what you're going to be expecting later this week when we come back here on Army Live.
Hey, Dad, I need your help asking Jessica to prom.
Of course. Love is like the ocean. You have to tread the
Oh,
waters.
Dad, that's not the kind of help I needed. Hey, Jessica. Will you go to prom with me?
Yes.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care can't wait to share their first with you.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He has the crazy strength to lift the man that raised him up without even flinching. This guy, no, this warrior, will always be by his father's side, even if his dad will hardly remember. If this guy isn't the toughest guy on the planet, then I don't know who is. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie. Nailed it. We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look! Welcome back to RMU Live. The Pittsburgh Penguins enter their final stretch of the regular season, looking to vie for that final wild card spot.
Now Kevin Plaucha is standing by with the latest in Pittsburgh sports. Kevin?
Thanks, guys. Well, with Major League Baseball's opening day being this week, it did feel appropriate to start with the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's the final few days of spring training this week, but recently the Pirates haven't shown fans much except losses. The Pirates did win 4-3 over the Phillies on Tuesday, but followed that up with 3 losses, 7-4 to the Red Sox, 6-4 to the Orioles, and 8-1 to the Braves. Although it is still spring training, players are being plugged in all over the place, and these games don't mean as much, you would still like to see some success. If that wasn't enough, the Pirates are currently trailing 7-0 against the Minnesota Twins. The Pirates have one more game tomorrow before their opening day game against the Cincinnati Reds on Thursday at 4:10 p.m. And as Ethan and Nate mentioned, while last week's show saw lots of losing and angst surrounding the Pittsburgh Penguins, this week gave fans a reason to celebrate as they took down the reigning Stanley Cup champions, the Colorado Avalanche, 5-2. Despite falling to the Dallas Stars 3-2, the Penguins would rebound in a major way and take down their rival, the Washington Capitals, 4-3. This game was a thriller. The Capitals stormed back after being down 3-0 and tied the game, but Evgeny Malkin scored the game-winning goal with just over a minute remaining in the third period. The Penguins have built up a 3-point advantage over the Florida Panthers for the second wildcard spot with just 9 games to go in the regular season. That's all for sports this week. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Kevin, for that look into Pittsburgh sports. Now, with spring in the air, that means all sorts of crazy weather, and Alex Wolf will be standing by in our weather studio with the latest on the 5-day forecast.
Yep. Alex?
All right, thanks, guys. So just to recap today's forecast, today has a high of 52, a low of 32, 67% chance humidity, and an 80% chance of precipitation. Looking into tomorrow, we're looking at 48 degrees as our high, 27 degrees as our low, 62% humidity, and a 10% chance of precipitation. And looking into later this week, on Wednesday, we're looking at partly cloudy skies with a high of 52, a low of 27. Partly cloudy skies again on Thursday with a high of 50 and a low of 38. On Friday, we're looking at some rain with a high of 61, a low of 57. Saturday, rain as well, with a high of 62, a low of 57. And on Sunday, we're looking at partly cloudy skies with a high of 49 and a low of 32. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Alex. And yeah, Nate, spring's in the air, but a lot of severe weather has, hit us in the Pittsburgh area. The winds were crazy this week, and, across the nation, it's really been, some very crazy weather early this spring.
Yeah, and Robert Morris wasn't any exception this past weekend. With Saturday, the men's lacrosse team took the field, as Kevin mentioned, against Cleveland State. And the winds were just craziness. There was rain blowing sideways. The nets were blown off of their moorings, and they had to bring in weight plates to hold them down. So the wind was definitely a factor, and it also led to a power outage on campus for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. You never see this around Robert Morris to where the power goes out. It's usually very windy here, especially in the winter months and into spring. But a power outage on campus, for it to go out for even 5 minutes, it was just wild this weekend.
Yeah, the power was off and on a little bit for some periods of times, and like you mentioned, the West Hills of Pittsburgh does bring in some wind, and we for sure saw that. And it's been so interesting because last weekend there was snow that impacted the lacrosse game on the weekend, but this week it was all of the rain. But that's going to do it for us on this episode of RMU Live. Thank you to Alex Wolf, Kevin Plaucha. For Ethan Morrison, I've been Nathan Brasinger. We will see you next week on the next episode of RMU Live.